Hey guys, it's Mongolian Mindset, and today me and Thomas are going to be interviewing Ray. He is married to an INFJ. We've typed her on the channel, so it's gonna be interesting to find his personality type. You don't have to go into anything you're not comfortable with, but what do say we will use to find your best fit type. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, Ray Carruthers. Just out, I'm a professional educator. This is my 34th year in education. I was a teacher at first, and now years I've been a director and principal, and currently right now just sort of at the end of my career in all of that. And looking for the next chapter in life. Still feeling good, married, three wonderful children, and that's it.
Okay, man. So what got you into school, man? School board.
Well, growing up in the neighborhood that I grew up in a small town, primarily everyone was that I associated with through either church or in the community were educators, and I just think they just sort of leave their imprint on you. And I can remember as early as the first grade of wanting to stay after school and wanting to assist the teachers with, grading papers, cleaning the chalkboards back in the days, and just moving anything in any direction I can that got me closer to the affinity that I had about teaching and all that went behind the scenes and the forefront of it. And I just continued on. And the older I became, it's just the more it seemed like I crossed paths with teachers, and school just resonated with me. I just loved school, and I never have left school since I went to kindergarten. So from kindergarten all the way through, there's never been a time that I've never been in school.
Instructions found within the underground chamber. Each of
Okay.
Thomas is determined that the Suwaki
Who's
was
that?
built with the
Sure,
very
Yeah,
that's you.
Shelly. Yeah, that's Shelly.
I muted
Thanks,
her.
Shelly.
So if you weren't doing school, what would you be doing?
If I wasn't doing school, I would probably just be doing full-time ministry and helping people in the community and helping people find a spiritual their spiritual growth and development. I would be working in that capacity.
Okay. Thomas, anything?
Um, yeah. If you could, if you could live at any time, like past, present, future, what time period would you live in and why?
I probably want to live back probably in the 50s and 60s and be a part of the cultivation and struggle that my people have had to endure to help lay a groundwork to continue to help people to move in a direction that would sustain them and their lives and their families and make better the community in that aspect.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, hmm. Um, if money was no longer an option, what would you do? It's probably not an option anymore anyway, but
If it was no, what would I do?
hmm.
Um, Yeah, probably start something like a university system that would start working with people before their children were born, and just create this sort of society to where you could help bring them from the cradle all the way up through where they would go through formal schooling, let's say K through 12, and then immerse right on into a university kind of like academy system and propel them into the world.
Hmm. Okay. What's something you think you struggle with?
Probably can become a bit impatient. I struggle with patience at times with systems and patience, impatience with people's lack of empathy and thought about the next person other than self. So I struggle with people and systems. I think
Mhm.
synonymously as it connects to helping others outside of self.
Okay. Thomas, anything?
Yeah. like 3 words you would use to describe yourself, or 3 words that other people would use to describe you?
Probably empathetic. Um, um, Probably pretty strong, and probably I would say um, just no nonsense.
He said no nonsense. Yeah, man, that's awesome. Well, okay, what is a piece of advice you would give somebody younger than yourself?
Take advantage of the time frame in which you're living in, and implore all that you have available to yourself, which will, if you take good care of yourself at a younger age, then as you move into your future age, you will not have to look back with so many regrets and so many I wished I had of. Just live in that moment and take full opportunity of what's at your disposal.
Okay. Um, what's a piece of advice you would give to yourself as opposed to, you know, that you would use on yourself?
I would say stop, and evaluate the situation. Give yourself time enough to evaluate something before launching into it head on and too
Hmm.
quickly.
Okay. Okay. If you could wish for 3 things, what would you wish for and why?
I probably wish for the eradication of racism in the world, because that affects all people and societies, whether you're the top 1% in this country or around the world. I would probably wish for good health, it's especially for those who have given themselves unselfishly um, to the world that they live in, to make things better for others. And I would that no child be in a situation that they cannot be left in a situation that is harmful and hurtful to them.
Hmm. Hmm. What does a normal weekend look like for you?
Pretty laid back, outside of church, outside of just kind of doing some reflection time, and just I try to stay quiet and still, and because I've just kind of poured myself out for the
Hmm.
week, and when the weekends come, me and the wife, we try to find a way to just build ourselves, give strengthen each other because of the work that we both do. That's what we concentrate on, just filling each other up and getting prepared for the coming week.
Okay. Thomas, anything?
Yeah, just going back to what you said about like eradicating racism, like what are like some, I guess, some specific concrete ways you see like racism like taking place? Um,
I would say through the institution of education.
really?
Yeah, just you can walk into a class, and depending on whose class it is, it could be a government class, and that person's personal view always seems to come in, and it's not from a balance point of view. It's from a historiologically incorrect view of how to even portray governments around the world. It's always, as I have looked over the many years, given this very skewed historical amnesia sort of view as to how governments and things have gotten into place across the world, not just in the young United States, but just across the world. And some of the pertinent information seems to be left out. So I would do something to eradicate. So listen, we either have to teach the real truth and stop worrying about somebody getting offended or somebody feeling bad. I mean, history is what it is, can't be revised so quickly. So I would do that immediately from an educational point of view, because we have these young people leaving high schools thinking, and I've been in several different school districts in my 34 years, but leaving with this very skewed view of what was and what was historiologically true, and that's the thing that you can see the sweeping legislation in this country that's hitting too many states and saying, hey, let's just hold off, let's revise it, let's push it away, rather than saying, let's be true to it. It happened, so let's be true. Either we're going to teach our children about it now, or they're going to go later on in life and run into the right professor or run into the right group that's like, well, listen, you didn't get the truth of the matter with the whole thing. Let's tell the whole story and not part of it.
What was like one of the biggest impacts teaching has left on you, or being a principal?
The impact, I can go back to teaching, is that my students now who are my first students now who are in their 40s and they have kids in school, they'll come back and say, boy, he cared. He made life different for me, and I heard his advice. And I can go into a restaurant and sometime, and they'll come up, and of course I don't recognize them any longer because they were kids when I had them, but they're grown and have their own kids, and they're like, you should have had him. You would be doing so much better in life had you had this man as a teacher. To which I want to say, if I made your life better, then you're supposed to transfer that on to your children and their children, etc. But that's my biggest thing is to biggest reward of teaching and being in education is that so many people's lives, and you can validate this with my wife. If we go into certain places, she said he's like a rock star when these people see him, because they roll out the red carpet, ingratiating him with kindness because of what he did when they were students of his.
Mm-hmm. So what was like one of the toughest parts about being a principal or educator?
Not the kids, believe it or not. Not kids. It's dealing with mindsets of staff who come from just these different pockets of belief systems, and you scratch your head and like, man, why did they even go into teaching? But they lock into these notions of according to the contract that I'm a part of, X, Y, and Z, which I get that part, and I'm not bashing that, but to a point where it doesn't help kids and it doesn't help a system move forward. It doesn't raise the level that we need to in a system. That's probably has been my most challenging parts, working with some of the adults, whether that's staff, not just staff, but just dealing with some community issues from time to time, and thirdly, dealing with some parents who are just pretty far off of what they feel we're doing as a school district or a school community.
Yeah, yeah. I've always had like this thought about, like, when I was younger, I was kind of like pretty harsh on like other people who wasn't like going about the way that I was going about the world. But then when I got older, I had a different perspective. It's like sometimes I think people don't even realize it, but the situations that people are situations that people are in are so messed up that person, I don't care what it's gonna be harsh to say, but I see that person is essentially dead already before they even started. You know, and it's probably you've probably seen a lot more of that. Like this person don't even have a chance at life really, because of the situations that they're in, like where it comes from the home and whatnot. And like that changed my perspective on a lot of the stuff, right? Man,
I totally agree with that. I don't give I don't give when students come a certain way. I just they're young and still very malleable and still, so I hold out hope for them, a much greater hope now for them than I do for, let's just say, some of their parents who are well of age. It's so deeply rooted into them, whatever it is. The guy who tells me, oh, my kid, just told me this the other week. Oh, my kid, he can just drop out of high school and do what I've done. He can just work with his hands. And I'm like, well, sir, this is not the world this is not the world of 40 something years ago. This is 2024. There's not a lot of options for high school dropouts to go to work with their bare hands because they're going to have to work very hard for all of their life to try to, have the quality I think that most students want. So, a person like him, in 5 minutes, I knew there's nothing I could say to even impact and work on him, and I feel bad for him in that aspect, but I can't even pour a lot of energy on it now. It's just give me the students. Let's go with the kids. If it looks like I have a listening ear over here and the adult who is very, very important to their lives, okay. But if not, and it's the same way with staff. Sometimes, my younger staff that I work with, again, very malleable, haven't been in the profession that long, will receive, but those that have been around for, 25 plus years, and you try to have a conversation and you see that it just keeps on going around in a circle, then I just pull back and like wave the surrender flags, like, okay, I'm moving on. We'll go down a compliance road with that person.
Yeah.
And the others that look like they're open and acceptance, like, and again, I'm not coming off like I am the dean of rightness and I am what I say goes and I'm right every single time, because I will admittedly amongst my peers, I will tell them all the time, listen, sometimes I do get it wrong. Sometimes there are other angles to which we can go in, but when I get it right, I get it right. I have a secretary that says, Ray, you seem to never get much wrong around here. I said, thank you. I'm humbled by that comment. I said, but I do get stuff wrong. But she says, well, in my view of the years, you don't get a lot wrong with what we're doing here in this community daily. That's her words. I'm never gonna claim that I get it.
No, man. Hey, you got to take your achievements, man. You gotta. A lot of people don't. You got to enjoy those achievements, and you work for them, right? You work for those. You did the work every day. It was a process. It didn't just happen overnight. What do you think are your greatest strengths?
I think my greatest strength is the ability to take a situation that is chaotic, that is laden with just a lot of disappointments, and make it better. I can go in there and put a roadmap together, working with a team to make things better, and I've done it for many years in some places that I've had to go where it seemed like it was all down to ashes, and then the views, within half a year to a year's time, we've seen significant progress in so many facets of that particular operation. The ability, strength is to motivate others to come along. Let's try it, and if we try it and it doesn't work, then let's go to another plan. Let's keep doing it until it gets better. And so I'm open like that. And I think the third strength that I would just say is that you know I try to put myself in the shoes of everyone that I'm asking to do something. So I try to see it from that side of the desk, if you will, and not just the side that I'm on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thomas, anything, you think we're done?
Yeah, I think we're good, man.
All right, man. Ray, you ready for this?
Ready?
Is that what we call you? Ray?
Yeah,
Okay.
Ray.
Yeah. Principal Ray, whatever.
That's okay.
All right. So what I noticed early on when you came in, you're a principal, professional educator. You really throwing out those achievements, right? So that's like TE, big TE. Even like the last thing I asked you, said when you walk in something, you could take things from chaos to order, right? So you can put order into anything, which just means that you're an outcome type, right? A direct outcome type, because you're specific, concise, and to the point. I put a roadmap together and make things better. So basically, you put a system together and you make things better, right? In half a year or whatnot, things are so much better. So you're looking at the outcome, the end product. You're talking about people like don't like help the system move forward, systematic. Talking about your belief systems. When I asked you your best piece of advice, you actually gave me SI parent, which is people need to take care of themselves, right? And so that they'll be able to like have a good life later on. Helping the community was a big focus of yours, right? Doing the right things, even helping your teacher. You talked about that. Um, the university system needs to help people before their children. That was the big thing that you said. That was systematic, affiliative, and outcome. So, with that being said, we got you as ESTJ.
Yes, TJ. Okay.
ESTJ. Um, do you know what she typed you as?
She said that's what she said. Yes, TJ.
Yeah, ESTJ. So she's correct, man.
He's correct.
Yeah, she's correct. It's you sound very your cadence of speech sounds very similar to Obama's. Very
Really?
similar to Obama.
Mhm.
Yeah.
She said that too.
It's almost very similar to Obama. It's scary. Is she in the room?
She's hey babe. He just asked if you were in the room.
I'm outside of the room. I'm in the room, but I'm outside of the
Oh, tell her. Yeah, you were right. He's ESTJ.
Yeah. I told y'all, and
Well,
you told me.
I told you you can't be listening to everybody, TE trickster. Uh, you can't
Tell
be
them
listening to everybody. You start questioning, and a big problem with INFJs is that they with the TE trickster, they'll just start taking on so much information, and they'll like start valuing people's information that's not good information. Right? They'll just be like John Doe on the street. What do you think about this? And then Billy Bob over here, drunk alcoholic person. What do you think about this? And it's like you probably should be listening to these people. But it
Hey,
was great to have you on there.
Mercer, could you tell him about my personality type? Like
Oh,
yeah, just some characteristics.
okay. So she's an
I know
INFJ.
his.
Speaking layman's term, because you all lose me in about 2 seconds when you.
All right,
Yeah,
bro.
I mean, as much as you could possibly can, because some of it is like she's
All
so
right.
confusing with some of this stuff.
So her personality type is really focused on trying to build people up in a spiritual realm more and making them a better human being spiritually, physically, emotionally, right? Very empathetic. They can tap into other people's emotions. They feel people's emotions more like than it's just like very sensitive to them, like sensitive to the touch, right? So they're always kind of like over accommodating people, right? I think a big problem with them is like even when somebody does them wrong, they can kind of spin it in a way to like that the person didn't do any wrong, right? They really struggle being in the moment, right? They're kind of always in the like little la la land, like if you would call it la la land. They have this like vision for themselves, right? That they want to enact, and for her, it's probably gonna be some people focused, right? Um, they can struggle with so they're very empathetic people, and no matter if you're a very empathetic person, you're not gonna be strong thinking with your thinking preferences. It just is what it is. Like you can't potentially have it all, right? Like someone like yourself, you're pretty strong in your thinking preferences. You really care about them. And on the other side, you kind of struggle where she's like, she probably picks up on people's emotions way faster than you. Or like she just has interpersonal skills and intrapersonal skills. We like, because me, Shelly, and Thomas, we're both all thinking types. So we can struggle more on the other side, like the interpersonal relationships and stuff with people. But she's really good at that. But the world values what you do and what we do, right? Because the world's always like you got to be a big time performer, you got to get things done, you got to be successful. So her personality type can kind of be squeezed out a little bit because they don't really care about that. They really care about helping people. Like that's their fourth and foremost. Is they really want to help people. They want to change people's lives, um, and they don't think about things from a systematic point of view, right? As in like me and you and Thomas and Shelly, we think about like, okay, let me get a system installed here, right? Because if the system is something I can measure, I can keep people accountable. But on her, she thinks everybody's different and they need to be adjusted differently, right? So,
Probably too much info.
oh shit, I probably gave you a little too much.
I followed it. Yeah. It was that was easy to follow.
I, I kind of
Yeah. Of course, I've been hearing this side from her too. What you said was very much confirms what she's been telling me all these years. So yeah, makes sense.
it's great to see like a successful a successful black man on here, man. We really, I really, like, like principal, public educator, like that is very empowering to see, man. So I really wanted to dig into like what you thought, what's the best course of action for a lot of people. Um,
Well,
so
thank you. Listen, and thank you for the just taking the time and doing this profile for me and affirming, some things that I have in me. I don't have the technical terms to put to it like you did, but you put those terms there of what I've heard her say, and
mhm.
that's pretty lifting to hear. So I appreciate all of your
Uh,
insights.
where you guys like are you guys in like Alabama? Where you guys just curious?
Oh, Ohio.
Ohio. Oh wow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, down here in the Ohio Valley.
Hmm.
She was, I mean, yeah, my wife was born in Louisiana,
Okay.
so she's a native Louisianan, and I'm a native Oklahoman.
Hmm.
So,
Oh, Oklahoman.
uh-huh.
It's weird how much you sound like Obama. It's kind of crazy. And he's from Hawaii, obviously. He grew up in Hawaii, so it's like,
Right.
nowhere near each other. But yeah, you sound a lot like him.
Like even some of the
Wow.
words he uses, it's like, oh my God, Obama uses that same word.
Yeah, you're articulate like the way he is.
Hmm.
You must have read a lot of stuff, man. A lot.
That's that's funny because I remember when after he was elected, and I was at a whole different district, the students used to say, "Mr. Crothers, why do you sound like President Obama?" Pay it any mind. I'm thinking because he's black and I'm black, and you're saying I'm sounding like.
Now your voice is in sentence structure and pattern is like almost like it's
Yeah.
scary.
Wow.
It's scary. It's pretty
It's
cool,
interesting.
man. It's
I
pretty
wish
cool.
it was smart as him.
Maybe
I
you
mean,
should
you
go into
guys are both
politics.
ESTJs. We type Barack, and he's the same personality type as you.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Like you guys end up being like presidents and like school board leaders and
Yeah.
anywhere that they could put a system in to help
Okay.
the community is usually where you'll see ESTJs like in leadership positions,
Okay.
right?
Wow.
Stabilizing a lot of things, right? And helping other people, you know.
With that being stated, with me being an ESTJ and my wife is being a
INFJ.
INFJ, how do we best get along?
Man, that's an interesting one. I think there's so many different aspects of things. Like a lot of times it comes down to values. You got to get on the values, you got to be on the same page. But a lot of times you guys are gonna bond over what you guys want to do in the community, right? I think the community change is going to be like the biggest impact. I think the problem you will probably have is because you kind of want to see the facts and the data, the statistics, right? And she's going to be leading heavily into more intuition, right? And you're like, I kind of trust the data, statistics, and the facts. What are the reports saying, right? She may be more lenient into her intuition, but your wife seems to be pretty developed. I mean, I think she's getting a doctorate, if I remember correctly. She's getting a doctorate right now, so she's
Yeah,
pretty
she's
developed.
finishing up her master's in English
Hmm.
and a second in TESOL education. So she's doing two programs at once.
Yeah, so she seems
Really
pretty
smart.
developed. She seems to be, she seems to not have no take no bullshit either. You know,
Right.
uh, I
Right.
mean, I think it, it's a wonderful thing. The only difference is she's not very systematic, and you are very systematic, right? You like a certain time, certain thing to do this, like like you kind of have that order, right? While she doesn't need as much order as you do.
Okay.
Uh, Tom, what you got anything you would say?
About that relationship.
Hmm.
I mean, I don't know. I think you covered it pretty well. Yeah, I mean, like I think you kind of outlined, they'll probably butt heads over certain things, like like yeah, he's systematic, and very very driven by the data and whatnot. She's kind of like the opposite, not very unsystematic, very very intuitive and feeling based. So,
Hmm.
um,
But I mean, I think ESTJs are very good at just like kind of blending around to whoever the person they're with. So I think it will work pretty well, man. As long as the respect is there, I really don't see much of a problem.
Gotcha.
You
Some typical INTJs, INFJs. I'm getting mixed up. What's some other personality types in the world that are INFJs?
Oh, INFJs. Shit, my brain's going crazy. Do you know, Thomas? You remember any off the top of your head INFJs?
What famous ones?
Yeah.
Famous ones, right?
I mean, there's like a few actors, actresses, performers. I mean, like Gandhi's like a good example. Gandhi.
Okay.
I mean, Al
Jesus.
Al 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 Pacino, Ana de Armas. There's a bunch of like performers who are INFJ.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say there is like I don't know if you know who Kurt Cobain is.
Yeah, I've heard that name.
Kurt Cobain, he was a famous musician,
Hmm.
sadly, ended up killing himself because a lot of times INFJs really struggle with their internal critic, which is their internal self-worth, right?
Hmm.
They always feel like they're never a good enough person. They hold themselves to this impossible standard. So a lot of times you
Yeah.
probably see that with your wife. She holds herself to this impossible standard of like being a good enough person, right? And it can
Okay.
really affect their mental a lot of the times.
I heard you say Jesus also would be an INFJ.
Yeah, Jesus.
Wow.
A lot of times these are people that want to take the suffering for other people. That's what I
Okay.
would say. They're really empathetic on that level. A lot of times they feel like they can take the suffering for other people, which is kind of crazy. I would say Kurt Cobain. I can't think of any off the top of my head right now.
What about MLK? Would he have been an INFJ?
ENFJ.
ENFJ. Okay.
Yeah. So he's
So
the
somewhat
extrovert
kind of similar, but like
person.
yeah, not the same.
He's
Okay.
extroverted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Extroverted. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but you can see like Gandhi, I guess, INFJ, Jesus,
Mhm.
Kurt Cobain. I don't know if you know who John Bon Jovi is.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he's INFJ.
Really?
He's always doing a whole bunch of like community things. They're always
Okay.
Yeah.
focused on community, no matter what it is. If they get money or something, they feel like the money, they don't deserve the money. That they have to help other people. They got to give back to other people, right?
Yep.
Because they really don't value money at all.
Oh,
So they could
okay.
be freaking broke.
Yeah. And
If
As
still
long as
you,
feel
you're
good
as
about
long as you're
everything,
helping
huh?
people.
hmm?
You can be broke and still feel good about
Because they
life
helped
in
other
general.
people. They get more satisfaction from helping other people and making other people feel good and alleviating others' suffering. Right?
Okay.
It's always going to go back to that alleviating others' suffering.
Alleviate
Right?
others.
They'd rather suffer and have no money in their pocket than the another person, right? Because they believe they can take that on. To complex they have there, which is kind of crazy. But they're great people. I just butt heads with them sometimes because I'm not as empathetic, right? And I'm not like you, right? You kind of have like you kind of have like a mask where you can cover it up, like where you have no nonsense. I'm like straight off the gut, like there's no nonsense here, you know. You can kind of do it like, oh, do it for the community. I'm just like, yo, this is not what we're doing, you know. So I can be razor sharp with no empathy at all. Like we need to follow this route. So.
Man, you would make a great alpha man.
It just, yeah, I get in trouble with that, man. That's probably my biggest battle in life is to sit down and reflect and understand what other people are coming for. It's getting better, just seeing the different views of where other people are coming from and noticing that like not everybody can turn chaos into something, right?
Okay. Okay.
And understanding that there's a lot of different problems that other people have, right? Instead of just saying like they're just mentally weak, right? Because there's probably times in your life where you're like, I got to this point, and like let's say for me, like my mom was on drugs or whatnot, all this type of stuff, no father figure, and I'm like, if I can do it, I know they can do it. Like, why they ain't doing it? Like I'm not like you where I'm like kind of empathetic to. I'm like, you need to be freaking doing it. Like I know I got here, you should be doing the same fucking thing. I'll get like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's difference because I'm pragmatic and you're affiliative, but we're
Okay.
both TE DOMs, so we care about like implementing a system or structure into anything that we do. Like, that's
Okay.
gonna be the first and foremost thing. Like we come in something, it's like I can't relax until like the chaos is gone.
Okay.
Like,
So Mercer, may I ask you your background?
oh, what do you mean like background, like where I'm
Just
from?
your profession and
Oh, I'm a
what you
clinical
do.
scientist. I
Okay.
work at the hospital. I I went to school for it, so I got a bachelor's in that. Um, mm, grew up poor, worked all my life, got to a certain point in college, graduated, started working, started investing, got into MBTI because I'm just like a professional, like self-improvement junkie. My end goal, I would say, is probably somewhere, probably in politics. I've always
Wow.
wanted to do politics when I was younger. So
Okay.
this is just like a step on the stone to get to that eventually.
Sure.
And I really wanted to work on my communication skills and talking to people, right? Because if you're going to talk to thousands of people, you got to start with small steps before you get to that step. So that's kind of like my whole mind frame is eventually getting there. And I noticed that you need net worth and money also because a lot of times people are like me and you, like money talks,
Mhm.
outcomes talk, right?
Right.
We really listen to people with outcomes. Majority of the time, unfortunately, that's what we do. We listen to people who got the outcomes. So that's one of the things, and eventually trying to go for that, maybe like a governor or representative or something.
That's great. That's great. I mean, that's a powerful story and journey and background. So yeah, when you start running for your political office, make sure that we connect so I can come out
Definitely,
and stump for you and be one of
definitely.
your surrogates and go out there, and I'll have plenty of time to dedicate to it then and help put on some of the fundraisers and be the
Yeah.
I don't have to be in the front. I can just be so far in the back somewhere,
That'd be
just
awesome,
helping you to
man.
get achieve the goal.
Yeah, it'd be awesome, man. Uh, well, it's been a pleasure, man. I got to get out of here and tell your wife
Okay.
I love what she's doing in the community, and we love keeping my INFJ in there. All right,
Okay.
Rick.
All right.
Take it
Thank
easy.
you so much.
No
Take care.
problem.